Hello and welcome back to Medical Today with Jared Ratnam. Of course, from what we were talking about, we have another very interesting topic, and based on social media statistics, here in Malaysia, we have almost 64 million users glaring at social media at any one time, and the numbers are growing. In the studio with me is Dato Murphy Chan, the CEO of Icon Group and Vice President of Asia Optometric Congress, Professor Azrin Ariffin, who is also an MOC Council member. He's joining us, or they are joining us, to share a little bit about the glaring effects of social media the world's seeing right now, and what is computer vision syndrome. For short, let's just use the acronym CVS right here on Medical Day. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. So we'll start with Dato. Let's talk about what CVS, or computer vision syndrome, is. Maybe you can give us a little bit of an insight as to what it is as we get into this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having us in this program. Now, computer vision syndrome, also known as digital eye strain syndrome, is a group of eye and vision related problems. It's the result of prolonged use of the eyes in front of this digital device. Example, computers, your smartphone, laptops, or tabs. Now, based on the statistics revealed by the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, it shows that every 7 out of 10 Malaysian workers who spend their time in front of the screen will experience eye strain. Now, this is in fact a very serious concern. As an optometrist, I do see an increased number of CVS cases in my practice.
Right. So when you talk about CVS, we'll come back to that shortly. Prof. Azrin, we'd like you to weigh in on this. What is Malaysia like compared to other countries in, say, East Asia with regards to what we're talking about today, which is CVS?
Thank you, Mr. Ratnam. I think when it comes to the use of social media, the habit is all the same. We don't really have data for Malaysia, but from neighboring countries, we've got good reports, and they actually agree with what Dato has just said. I think about 80% of people who use digital devices would have this computer vision syndrome, and it's now known as digital eye strain. Mm-hmm. We've got studies done in India, interestingly, where they looked at people who are working on software, and a staggering 80% of them were reported, self-reportedly, have digital eye strain. But really, I mean, if you look at scientific data, research papers that have come up from Britain, I think a good 50% of people would have that problem. Mm-hmm. So I think Malaysia is not too far from there.
Right. Hold that thought, Prof. We'll go back to Dato right now to find out about the symptoms of CVS, or computer vision syndrome.
The common symptoms of this CVS will be definitely the eye strain, and also sometimes the frontal headache that they will get, and also the muscle spasm. Besides that, they will also complain of blurred vision and also double vision, or we call it diplopia. Because of the prolonged use of this digital device at a close range, some sufferers will also complain of photophobia, or glare at night. Now, we know that when you're concentrating at the near task, your blinking pattern will also go lower, and therefore irritation or dry eyes will come in. Mm-hmm. And they also will have mild eye redness at the end of the day. Right. Now, besides the eye symptoms, 60% of these computer users or digital users will also complain of neck and shoulder pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've got all these other effects that come along too. Mm-hmm. Now, Prof, with such alarming stats, I'm sure there must be awareness campaigns that are ongoing within Malaysia. Are there any serious developments with regards to campaigns in order to give people more of an insight or an understanding as to how serious this problem is?
I think it's more of an awareness initiative, and I speak very proudly of the work done by the Association of Malaysian Optometrists with good support from the Ministry of Health through the good office of the Ministry of the Malaysian Optical Council. We've done campaigns, public campaigns, to get people to be aware of the fact that when they spend too much time, which everyone does these days, on digital devices, particularly before they go to bed or just immediately after waking up, that any problems that they have with their eyes need to be checked up. And as Datuk was saying, you know, the symptoms are actually eye-related, environment-related, and also there's also the problem of having dry eye instead of just visual problems. So the Association of Malaysian Optometrists has done a good job. And, you know, public education is always an uphill task, you know that.
Right.
So we're getting there.
We're getting there. But as we get there, I'm going to digress a little to talk about something related. Pharmaceuticals, or you go to any pharmacy now, and eye drops are so readily available for people with dry eyes, and that's not meant to be the case. Now, who likes to weigh in on this? Prof?
I do research in dry eye. I think there's so many dry eye drops on the market that, you know, one gets really confused about which ones to be used. And some are good ones as well, but they're not meant for all sorts of dry eyes. I mean, you have different severities of dry eye. And people that suffer dry eye because of, or because they use digital devices are those people who don't blink properly. And they need more than just artificial tear drops. They need care in the form of advice and good examination to make sure that everything else is working in the right order, not just the eye getting dry.
Right. When we talk about CVS or computer vision syndrome, can this syndrome cause permanent damage, Prof?
Well, this is really a subject of contention. I think the main issue here is actually people getting lots of discomfort, because computer vision syndrome or digital eye strain actually originates from the functionality of the eyes, where focusing and muscle imbalance get in the way. But when it comes to this more serious aspect of it, it's about the blue light that gets into the eye. And, you know, it's always an object of contention. But if blue light actually gets into the eye, the harmful ones, they'll, in the long run, will cause cataracts, and also some damage to the photoreceptors. So that's what we call eye damage.
Right, but there's a flip side to that. No, there's blue eye filters now, or blue filters these days. The list goes on and on. So I'm very sorry to interject, but to get back to Dato', let's talk about technologies that we have at this point, because we're very fast running out of time. So what are the latest and available technologies with regards to helping or aiding computer vision syndrome?
Yeah, truly we are very excited, because today lots of lens companies globally have done a lot of research, and there are amazing products, lens, particularly for those spectacle wearers, that they can use these lenses. Now, first of all, I'd like to have this statement: not all spectacle lenses are the same. Okay, most of them go for just the prescription, or we call it layman term the power, or just to be able to see clear. But do you know that with latest technology designs, you don't just see clear like the plasma quality, you could actually see much clearer, like Full HD or the 4K or the 8K. So the design of the latest technology enables someone who wears a spectacle to see clear, not just the front vision, but also the peripheral vision. So that's about clarity. Now, besides clarity, with our new lifestyle, which we are so engaged with close work, it's important to make sure our two eyes are able to focus comfortably, because you can see clear but not necessarily comfortable. So this is a very important aspect which I always advise to all my patients, that they must make sure their eye muscles are well balanced, aligned, so that they can focus things clearly. And not forgetting the third component, which is to protect the eyes from harmful rays, as what Professor Azrin has emphasized. Yeah.
Right. Now, Prof, coming back to you, let's talk about the Optical Act 1991. Not many of us have read it extensively or have read it at all.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this, other than the fact that it's archaic?
Well, it's too harsh a word, but I you know,
it's too harsh a word.
Yeah, I think it's they're doing the right thing now. It's going through amendment, or perhaps a repeal. But I'm proud to say I'm on the committee, and we're working very hard to get it modernized and to include public health issues as well. And this is a public health issue that we need to address, and to control the profession, so that when it comes to what Dato was saying, people prescribing and dispensing corrective lenses for specific purposes, these are actually qualified people who are trained properly.
But there's also another bunch of optometrists or batch of them who are untrained and they're out there working within the industry. And
well,
that's
when the
rather
new
dangerous.
law comes out, the use of the word optometrist will be
It won't be loosely used anymore.
will be really protected. Yeah.
So very interesting that you talk about the Act. Now, do you think, in your opinion, and say it as is the government doing enough at this point?
They are. They're very supportive, actually. The Ministry of Health
You jumped
is
on
actually,
that one, yeah?
is actually very supportive in our effort to get the Act repealed. And we're getting all sorts of support through the good office of the Malaysian Optical Council.
Right. Dr. Murphy, before we let you go, what's your advice to Malaysians with regards to CVS or with regards to just eye care health?
I think very importantly, I would like to share as a practitioner of optometrist one simple message. Seeing clear is not enough. I think it's important to make sure that they not just to see clear, it must be comfortable, and they make sure their eye health is at its best. You see your dental checkup every year. Why are you not doing the same thing for your eyes? And one last thing I would like to emphasize is that for those silent sufferers, most of us particularly would expect that when they have eye strain after doing 4 or 5 hours of close work is something they thought they have to live with it. I hope this program will then share with these people, we call it silent sufferers, that they know where to get the help. Look out for qualified practitioners or the optometrists so that their CVS problem can be managed and solved.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time off to be with us today. We've run out of time. We'd like to thank Dr. Murphy Chan and also Professor Azrin Ariffin for joining us on today's episode of Medical Today. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
My
and an
pleasure.
honor having you on the show. Thank you very much. We'll see you again to get more advice from you sometime in the future. Stay with us. We'll take a short break and we'll come back right here on Medical Today BNC.